Hi, this is NMR Polygamy. Today I would like to discuss You Got to Find What You Love. This is a lesson included in the Board of Intermediate syllabus from the academic year 2025 to 2026. You Got to Find What You Love was a speech, in fact, given by Steve Jobs. And his speech was given as lesson. I am going to read the lesson and explain you. I would like to ask you to give complete attention and have a textbook with you, then it is going to be an added advantage for you. Okay, and also have the notebook which will help you to write down the new vocabulary and some important phrases that you come across in this lesson. I am honored to be with you today at your commencement from one of the finest universities in the world. I never graduated from college, truth be told. This is the closest I've ever gotten to a college graduation. Today, I want to tell you three stories from my life. That's it. No big deal, just three stories. Steve Jobs was invited to give or deliver a lecture at a university named Stanford University, and he was addressing the students. He was very clear in his statement. Truth be told, what does it mean? He didn't want to mince the words. He didn't want to lie. He wanted to tell them that it was one of the rarest experiences to give a speech at a university and particularly in the college context at a graduation ceremony. And this is the beginning for the students to see the new avenues in life. And he just wants to motivate the students, and he would like to give them three different stories from his life. He also feels very happy to talk to them at the moment. The first story is about connecting the dots. Please try to understand what is the meaning of connecting dots and where do we have to find this kind of expression. From this lesson, he means unless you look at the past and certain incidents which helps always to make solid decisions in order to thrive and prosper in life. In the first story, he mentions about how he dropped out of college and aftermath events that have taken place in his life. I dropped out of Reed College after the first 6 months, but then stayed around as a drop in for another 18 months or so before I really quit. This man could not stay in the college, even though it was a very nice college offering him the best education. He couldn't feel that he should be doing that and he wanted to quit. In less than 6 months, he came out of the college. The expression when you come out of a college or a school is called dropout and a drop in. When you join or take a course in a college or a school, you will call drop in. He is asking a question. So, why did I drop out? We never know. We are the listeners and the readers. How do we know why he had dropped out of the college? He should tell us. He is very certain that he is going to tell us the reasons why he dropped out. In the next paragraph, you would understand. It goes this way. It started before I was born. My biological mother was a young, unwed college graduate student, and she decided to put me up for adoption. How pathetic it is, how sad it is. Before the child is born, if mother is prepared to give the baby to somebody else, how does it feel? And if the same child, after growing to certain amount of age, uh, what are the emotional uh, upheavals that the child undergoes? You can understand. There is a special mentioning about her status. She was unwed, but She was to give delivery to a baby. That means she was to deliver a baby, and that was the situation. It happened in her life. In this context, he says, my biological mother was a young, unwed college graduate student, and she decided to put me up for adoption. She wanted to give away the kid. She felt very strongly that I should be adopted by college graduates. So everything was all set for me to be adopted at birth by a lawyer and his wife. Friends, you understand, before she delivered the baby, she probably had given some information about the baby's birth, and the lawyer's family responded, and her intention was the baby should be adopted by educated family. That's why she has a very particular point to say graduates, in the sense, in other words, literate, people who are educated. What could be the reason? She knew that she would not be able to raise the kid. And particularly in Indian context, if a lady gives birth to a baby before marriage, that is a big disgrace on her character. And she has to feel very sorry for being completely banished by either family or even the society, isn't it? So, women are very particular about this, and here we consider this as a big sin also. And even in the American context also, if a baby is born there like this, they don't want to take responsibility. I think some insane, insane, insane means mad fellows. We find by and large here and there, they throw the babies into the dustbins, drainages, and they live at different unseen places. What could be the reason? You know very well. You can interpret better than I. Why a small baby after the birth, less than 3 days, 4 days, the baby is left elsewhere? It is the ignorance of the mind. It is the temptation. It is the lack of experience. Let us say naive. All these things would lead to take such immature decisions. When they have to face the society, they feel perplexed and fumbled. These are the few reasons why we must know our limitations before marriage, the responsibilities of a lady, similarly, the responsibilities of a gender, a man, should be very clearly understood. We must not give any pain either to the parents as well as to the society. Here, this baby, luckily, the baby has turned out to be Steve Jobs, one of the best iconic personalities who inspires, who keeps inspiring millions of people. But there may be other issues which have not come into limelight to discuss. So many untold miseries, so many unseen as well as unexplored families where kids have been thrown into drainages, where the mothers uh, might have felt so negligent as well as discarded. In such cases, the babies are thrown into the dumping yards and dustbins. But this lady was very kind enough towards the baby. She knew that she would not be able to do any justice if she had to raise that kid. Then she wanted to keep it for adoption. Lawyer's family came, and what happens later? Would they really take the baby? We have to see. Except that when I popped out, they decided at the last minute that they really wanted a girl. Lawyer's family wished to take the baby from this unwed mother, but there was a condition. They didn't simply accept this baby boy, this boy baby. They wanted a girl baby. That was the choice they have made. Then what should this lady do? So my parents who were on a waiting list, remember this phrase, my parents. Who could be the parents of Steve Jobs? We know this is a lesson discussed by Steve Jobs and delivered by Steve Jobs in the speech. My parents means probably he might have been adopted by a couple, and the couple must definitely not be the lawyer's family because they already expressed their preparedness and their wish. So they wanted a girl baby. My parents means he was adopted by another family in this context. So my parents, who were on a waiting list, got a call in the middle of the night asking, "We have an unexpected baby boy. Do you want him?" So they got a call and they were informed about the baby being available in the hospital, and asked if they liked the baby in order to raise some families. When even though they try their level best, they pray god and they go for astrology, like asking the different pundits whether they can have good, I mean, offspring or children, but still they don't have kids after marriages, maybe because of their fate and some health issues, right? And in the recent past, we have seen IVF procedure with which most of the couples have been practicing when they haven't had kids. It could be one of the best systems in the US. Instead of throwing the babies, maybe the unwanted babies by the parents could be kept for adoption process. Officially, the baby is taken, and there is some security and safety for the baby also. This is the best practice. At the worst, if you think that the baby is to be saved, probably this is a nice thing which has been in vogue in America. I don't have any idea whether in India it has any such practice, but I think it's a nice thing. Here, a couple has got a call and they were told about the baby's birth, and it was boy baby. They said, of course refers to, yes, we are ready to adopt your baby. My biological mother, look at this sentence and this phrase, biological mother means Steve Jobs' biological mother, the one who gave him the birth was biological mother, and the one who raised him was the parent later in his life. Even Steve or anybody else in this world, kids do not know what they know, the previous reminiscences. Reminiscences refer to the memories since childhood. They understand that point, and they understand all the events that take place in life with parents, siblings, and to some extent they really can't get away from those beautiful memories. Even after some time, perhaps after 16th year or 17th year, if they come to know that the existing ones are not the real parents, still they don't have any negative opinion, because they only have all bonding with those people. Even though they know that somebody is the real parent, they don't want to go to them because of the experiences and the different family bondings. So this is quite common, but he is very frank and very candid to express the point that my biological mother, he didn't want to mince the words, he didn't want to hide, he wants to tell us very clearly. This is the frankness that we could spot in his character. Great people are open minded, I believe. My biological mother later found out that my mother had never graduated from college and that my father had never graduated from high school. The biological mother's intention and the wish was to hand over this baby to educated family that we already came across in this text. But the lawyer's family refused to take the baby. They were waiting. She had to give the baby to an educated graduate's family. But this family, which came forward to adopt this baby, was not so educated. Mother, I think the lady was, I think she did her schooling, and the gent, I mean the her husband, hardly did any high school education. That means he hadn't had college education. Maybe elementary plus, to some extent in the middle of high school, he could have dropped out of the school, and that was the background. But now you see the biological mother's opinion and wish was to hand over the baby to educated family. What should she do at this critical juncture? Partly she had to give away the baby. She cannot keep the baby with her, and on the other hand, she doesn't want to give the baby to less educated or less literate people. But what happens at last? We need to understand this from this text. She refused to sign the final adoption papers. She refused. No, 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 no. I can't give my baby to your family. Can you understand why this lady has kept that stringent rule? Because education enlightens minds. Educated communities and the families do behave differently, whereas uneducated communities. In terms of character and personality, we cannot judge or else equate people with the parameter called education. Even uneducated people and illiterate people live life meaningfully sometimes. It depends on probably socially and economically. If people are educated, their social and economic frontiers or the platforms would be rather strong than the illiterate as well as uneducated people. And they can give the best education to the kids. They don't have to send the kids for this any daily labor works. If it were the uneducated family, they depend on the kids earnings. There are so many issues where why this lady had considered her kid to be educated in the hands of educated community. So friends, these are the few reasons I guess that could be the points when she really wanted to give away the baby for the educated communities, educated family. Now in this context, she refused finally. This is so painful again, and she expected something, but what's happening is altogether different. She didn't want to keep signature on the papers. So everything should be legal, right? Why should anyone keep signature? Because the couple which has come forward to take the baby should not have any legal for issues. All the formalities should be clearly finished. Then only there will be some clarity to raise the kid. Tomorrow the same kid would have the right as a heir, HEIR, as a heir to claim their legality or a connection with the family. If the family has got some assets, they will be the heirs for the for all the movable and immovable assets. So they just want to keep everything clear without having any ambiguity. AMBIGUITY. Ambiguity means confusion or a kind of absurdity. Now, she only relented a few months later when my parents promised that I would someday go to college. At last, the parents have convinced, okay, lady, please understand. We will try to do our level best. We will definitely send your kid to the school because we are working class people and we depend on our meager earnings. But as you wish, we would not spoil your child's. That means he is going to be our child if adopted. We will take care of him and we would absolutely send him to the school. This kind of assurance they give. There is a word here, relented. Relented, what does the word relent stand for? Go to page number 58. Here the pronunciation of this word is relent. In the second, on the second syllable there is a stress. The you can find the vertical bar, so it's relent. Can you please say this, repeat after me? Relent, relent, relent. To become less severe or give in after to become less severe or give in after resistance. She was very firm, she was very resolute. Oh no, 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 she was telling that, but finally she got convinced. She got convinced. It could be anything. Why did she get convinced? She knew that she would not take responsibility of the kid. She might have had some boundaries which she could not erase. Okay, if the family had come to know about her being pregnant or giving birth to a child, maybe her parents would not accept it. Maybe in the society where she was born and brought up, she would be labeled as with a labeled as someone who is a big disgrace in the society. Finally, she accepted to give the baby to this couple. I will continue giving explanation like this from this text, friends. Please keep watching and then uh, try to understand Steve Jobs' viewpoint from this lesson. Throughout the lesson, if you closely observe, it appears that only what your heart says, you please follow it, he says. But in reality, that cannot be applicable. And do not apply the same principle for everything. For instance, now you are in the class or elsewhere. You can't get away from college because you don't like it. You need to have patience. So we may not become like Steve Jobs, or all people cannot be as great as Steve Jobs, but we have our own weaknesses and strengths. Parents and their decisions are ultimate. you cannot make your decisions about your career. To some extent, of a few years, maybe after BTech, you can make decisions, but at an intermediate level, you cannot make decisions. So don't be too eager to make decisions, unlike Steve Jobs. Thank you so much for listening to me so patiently, and keep watching. I would like to come up with another video as a continuation in this text. Have a great day.